welcome. I'm Laura Schaff, and I'm here with Aaron Lundberg, who's a candidate for school director for the Erie Public Schools. Aaron, welcome.
It's good to be here, Laura. Thanks for having me.
So, Aaron, why don't you start out just telling us a little bit about yourself?
So I was born and raised in Erie, lived in Mill Creek, and I attended Mill Creek schools. But when I eventually got married, my wife and I decided to settle down in Erie because we felt that Erie School District would best represent the work environment that our children would eventually work in. Speaking of my kids, I have 4 children. They attend Jefferson, Wilson, and Collegiate in the city, and we're about to head into the world of graduations. I also work locally for a church that has multiple locations, supports a nonprofit, and is now launching a leadership institute.
So you have been involved in a lot of volunteer work for the schools. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, like most parents, I started by serving on PTOs and also working with Title I parent advisory groups when those times were needed. But I've also participated in taking care of the landscaping, helping to, edge the sidewalks, plant bushes, trim the shrubs, do whatever I can to continue to help keep the beautification, if you will, of the schools up while I live close by, and I'm just doing that for myself. Along with that, I've been on the superintendent's advisory panel in the past, and that has led to also being a part of the larger group that helped put together the strategic plan for Erie's public schools.
So it seems like all of that work has brought you to today and running for school director. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish?
Well, I have lots of goals, but I'm going to talk about 3 focuses that I have coming up here. First is I want to just continue to focus on innovation and what that looks like. And we're at a time in our world where we kind of have a little bit more leeway to innovate. We can get really creative with the way things are happening in the world and how communities and how the teachers, students, the communities can partner best with administration to make that happen and to work well together. And that also includes innovation that's going to come with items like COVID. And I want to be able to see how we can all work together for the benefit and betterment of the students. And so I see that happen in small ways, like in a little garden at each of the elementary schools that some community members or some of the high school teachers and students help make happen. And now we have parents and families tending to those gardens and being able to bring some vegetables home. And there's a lot of bigger things that I think can come of that idea. But the idea is that we have an opportunity to use our trades, to use some of the grants and different funding that's coming in to work well together for new innovation ideas of how we can all best work together.
Any other big ideas or any other things that you're focused on?
I'm glad you asked. And so in an effort to continue to not stay siloed, I think that as we work well with this enhancement plan from the strategic plan, that we can reinforce and enhance the standards that we have for education and curriculum, and not just for a certain select few, but how we can address all unique opportunities and situations in our city. We have a lot of those, and we need to be very creative and make sure that we're attending to everyone as best as we can. And I firmly believe, because I helped form it, that the strategic plan is a solution to do that. And 3, I want to elevate the standards of our buildings and our programs. And when I talk to parents and community members and even a lot of our students and teachers, I hear about that. We have some buildings and some programs, extracurricular programs, that need some attention. And what I mean is, I think if we present a less than opportunistic or appropriate look for our students and even our teachers when they walk into the schools, whether it's the exterior or interior, we want to be doing a better job of presenting excellence in a better way that also matches the high standards of excellence that we have for our students when they are coming in. And so we want to care for the property, we want to care for the building, we want to make sure that we show that ownership. We don't just want to ask kids to be tucking their shirts in and be on time for class when they come in. We want to match that message outside with the representation and expectations that we have of ourselves. And that goes for our extracurricular programs as well. And I don't mean just sporting programs. I mean, any of the extracurricular programs that we offer, we want to make sure that we're finding that right balance of, I think there's a magic space of where we're providing enough things and the right things and doing the ones that we provide extremely well, instead of just going, oh, we're going to do all this, we're going to keep adding this back in and do some subpar. For example, it's a struggle for me to watch my son run on a dirt track for practice for track and field. And so what can we do with that? And I know that there's going to be a lot of conversations with that, but I think we can really put some attention there.
Great. So, Erin, to that way of thinking, there's a lot of money now coming into the school
Yes.
district, into the city as well, because we're coming out of a pandemic. Superintendent Polito has talked about how that money is going to be spent. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, do you support his views on, investing in kids coming out of this pandemic, ventilation in the schools, or do you think that money should be used differently?
Yeah, I think first of all, I want to commend Superintendent Polito and the school board for what they've done so far. As a leader of a large organization, it's been a very tough year to lead. And so I want to commend them for that. They've made hard decisions. For the most part, kids and everyone, all the families and community has benefited well as best as possible in a tough situation. I believe that because of how crazy the last year has been, that first and foremost, this money should go to the mental and social well-being of our students. And I think that that's a largely agreed upon idea in the community. This goes with, these students, and many students in different ways, are very affected by what has happened this past year. We as adults have been affected by that. And so of course this would be true for kids. And so we're talking that starts with mental health professionals in the building, the community partners that we have. And we've been doing a lot of good programs there, but also trainings and education for the students and how to process some of this, as well as training for teachers and administration. But I will continue to go back to, this also speaks to the physical presence of our buildings and how we can enhance them to bring a encouraging and vital learning environment that these kids can be excited about learning in, instead of walking in and it's just, oh, I'm at school again and things are so tough. That we can it's going to be hard for us to completely emulate an Erie Insurance type building of what employees at Erie Insurance walk into, but we want our kids and our teachers walking into an environment that is exciting for them to learn in and experience education in, that will cause them to thrive.
So, Erin, there are a lot of candidates running for school director this time around.
There
are. What makes you qualified for this job?
So first and foremost, I'm a parent, and I have 4 students who are going through the district and their schools. But I have experience in a large organization with both paid and lots of volunteers. That includes construction projects, that includes budgets, that includes the navigating of, how shall I say, people that have really good thoughts and opinions, and you have to kind of navigate that to work well and start to bring all those ideas together. This is what I do naturally. I bring all those ideas together for the betterment of the decision that needs to be made, and I should say the decision that needs to be made for the whole. And I've been doing that for 15 years. I've been leading large organizations, and I think that that will bring a level of a mind that will help in that.
Anything else you want to talk about in terms of your skill set? Anything else that you bring to the table?
Well, I believe, Laura, that we are in a moment of great momentum for the Erie Public School District. And again, we're coming out of momentum, but we also have a new wave of momentum coming. And finishing out this strategic plan well, I think, is very vital. And for a while, we have been siloed a little bit. And so this is why I call our campaign Together with Erin. And so we are taking students, we are taking teachers, we are taking families, and we are working with community members to figure out what is the best way to attend to every need that every student and every unique situation has at the Erie School District, and work well with administration to make that happen. And so we've got to continue to get away from the loudest talkers always winning and the best decision being made for our students. And that's what we're going to do, and that's why I'm asking for your vote for Erie's Public School.
And Erin, where can voters find you on the ballot?
You can find me on the ballot in position 5 on both. I'm cross-filed. And if you want any more information, you can always go to togetherwitherin.com. That's togetherwitherin.com. And I hope that you will join me and be together with us.
Thanks, Erin. Thanks for your time. And thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sharon Alexander, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Leatra Tate, who is a candidate and running for an open seat with the Erie School Board. Dr. Tate, I have a few questions for you. Before we get into specific questions about your campaign for this board, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my family has a deep history here in the city. My grandfather moved here from Noxubee County, Mississippi. He was actually the first Black person in Noxubee County to have attended and graduated from a trade school there. So education has been pivotal for my family for generations. So he moved to Erie because his aunt was finding a lot of career success at Waldemere Park. She worked on the janitorial staff and was a pivotal part of the workforce there. As many young people here in the city, that happened to be my first job as well. So we're very much connected here in Erie to all sorts of systems. And so for me, when I think about my education and what's led me to this path, I think about the journey that I had with my public education. And I started at elementary school at Emerson Gridley. I then went to Harding for elementary and middle school. And then I went to Collegiate Academy where I graduated, class of 2009. I also played volleyball for Strong Vincent High School. I was on Erie All-City Marching Band. So the extracurriculars were also very important and pivotal to who I am and how I showed up. So when I graduated, my family, they were pretty clear that there was an expectation for me to go to college. I happened to be a first-generation college student, so I didn't necessarily have that model to follow within my family, but we learned a lot along the way. And so I thought about, what led me to that as a first-generation college student, not having that model represented in my family of what college looks like and what college success looks like. But I reflected at Collegiate, there was a lot of messaging that was presented to us about the importance of college and the expectation from our school that all of us apply and be accepted to college. So that messaging that was pushing us towards greatness at a very early age is what I really look back and reflect on, coming from my school and encouraging me as a first-generation student to create a path for myself, but to see college as achievable as a first-generation college student. That messaging was really key. So fortunately, my experience at Collegiate really provided me that opportunity to be committed to my education, but also set a platform for me to commit to pouring that back into our young people here and future generations that can use their public education as an access point into creating greatness and opportunities for themselves down the road.
Well, Dr. Tate, before I even go on to my next question, I want to say to you that as an educator, as an educator, when you talk about your childhood experiences and those childhood experiences being with the Erie School District, I'm so impressed by the fact that you attended Erie Public Schools and you graduated from Collegiate Academy, and that now that with that education and your post-secondary education, that you are willing to give back. I think that that's so important, and that you also discussed the importance of family support, and you talked about first-generation college, being a first-generation college student. And I know that many of our students fall into that same category. I'm going to go on with my next question. Once you entered college, did you have any experiences where you look back and realize that your education here with the Erie School District, in particular, your high school experience at Collegiate Academy, that successfully prepared you for college?
I love that question because I definitely do have those experiences. I think straight away to entering my first year and not really knowing how to navigate college. And part of that, that sort of confusion about how to navigate college came down to what I even wanted to major in. And so I started with a criminal justice major, thinking that I wanted to provide second chance opportunities for young people who happen to find themselves caught up in legal systems here. And once I started into that major, I realized that it wasn't really the space for me, or it wasn't going to lead me to the opportunities that I thought would be available for me to do so. I then landed on teaching. I had a great opportunity my first year at Edinburgh University to become mentored and work as a work study employee for a professor at Edinburgh who was teaching a summer intensive for high school sophomores and juniors and bringing them onto campus for 2 weeks and teaching them the ins and outs of college. And during that time, I saw the brilliance and the excitement and the creativity that come from our young people when people are pouring into them and when people are giving them the resources and the opportunities to explore. So although I didn't settle on teaching as the career path for me, it really led me to think, what about this experience was pivotal for me? And so I thought back to my high school courses and my high school classes that I had. And Mr. Taylor taught AP Psychology at Collegiate Academy. And so in that course, I thought about how it really focused on the individual well-being. It focused on individual mental health and the importance of that and how that comes across and how that sort of ties into every aspect of a person's development across the lifespan. And so once I got engaged with psychology and majored in that at the undergraduate level, it was really a light bulb moment, and I can certainly attribute that back to my high school courses. And from there, I was able to look at, psychology and mental health and well-being. It's not necessarily just a community, or not necessarily just an individual issue. It's something that we can address, and it's something that we can tackle as communities. So I started thinking about systems and systemic changes and structural changes. So it went from just looking at individuals to looking at community psychology, which is what I focused on during my undergraduate experience. And like I said, I can attribute that directly back to my experiences at Collegiate and some of the courses and conversations I had there.
What I'm hearing from you, Dr. Tate, is that your educational background has given you the empathy as well as the personal experiences of a high school student and a college student, and that empathy that you have is so similar to what we need in terms of being on a school board, being empathetic to the needs of the students from a first-hand experience, and also combining that with the educational experiences and the educational foundation that you have. It seems as if I'm hearing so much of you as this is what I've experienced, and I want to share of that experience, and I want the youth to benefit from that experience. I just hear that coming from you, Dr. Tate.
Absolutely.
My next question. So, you talked about how a focus on systems and issues in communities has led you to this path. What are examples of systems that you see here in Erie that you will address if elected to the school board?
So one of the biggest opportunities that I see from a systemic standpoint is leaning into the community schools model that has been implemented here in the Erie's public schools. I see that as an opportunity to rely on the community work that has been happening on the ground here for years through United Way, through the Urban Erie CDC, through the NAACP chapter here. There's been communities that, there's been local organizations that have been doing the work on the communities, and I see the opportunity with the district to lean into that community schools model to provide another platform and an avenue for those direct supports to happen across the board through our structural opportunities at the district level. So we currently have community schools where dentists and doctors' appointments for health and well-being for our young people as well as their families are taking place. But we have so many schools that are still in our communities that aren't being utilized. So from a structural standpoint, I see that as a major opportunity for the district to maybe lean into what that could look like, providing more opportunities for our community members to come to these structures that are in our communities and in our neighborhoods that aren't being utilized to their full potential, to seek some of those supports so that we can provide more holistic well-being for our families here in the district, as well as opportunities for our students. When we look, again, from a systemic and structural standpoint, we have the infrastructure here. We just need to capitalize on it and provide those resources directly to our students and our families.
Dr. Tate, I see and I hear such positivity, but also I'm here impressed with your knowledge of the programs that are already in place and how you see yourself as building upon those programs and keeping those programs that are in place there, but expanding those programs to reach out to all students who are in the Erie Public Schools. And I think that that's so important. I have another question for you.
Yes.
Now, I've been referring to you as Dr. Tate, and I just have to tell you that I just believe that that's just so awesome.
Thank you.
It's just so awesome. You look so young, and I also applaud you on putting the time and effort into receiving that degree of doctor. So with that, how will you, having earned your PhD at such an early age, how is that going to impact and support the families in the Erie School District?
Yeah, so thank you. I was actually the youngest person in my cohort for my PhD program. And so I don't believe in any stretch of the imagination that a PhD alone qualifies me to be in a school director position. I wouldn't encourage anyone to vote for me just because I have a PhD after my name. What I would encourage people to do is look into what that PhD meant for me and what I was exposed to during that program. And so when I think about my time in my doctoral program, I think about its focus on community engagement. So it was a community engagement PhD program. And what that experience offered me was a way to look at community issues that are facing our community at a multi-level way. So I can look and use my experience. It provided me opportunities to look historically and at contemporary iterations on how to handle these issues that are facing our communities. At the student level, at the educator level, at the community level, and at the city level, because I think that we're not necessarily looking at public education within a silo just focusing on students and educators. We need to look at that impact that can expand beyond. How can our students be prepared to be citizens in our city? How can our students be prepared to be citizens beyond our city? So what does that greatness look like for them as they're exposed to our education, but also setting them up for a platform beyond that. And so I think my doctoral experience has provided that opportunity, and I think it's also a great opportunity for people in the community to see a young Black woman with a doctorate. I think that's a really great way to provide representation, is to have people who have had those experiences be in leadership positions here in the city. I also think about my program and what it's offered me in terms of how I identify. So our program wasn't just necessarily preparing me to be a researcher. It provided me lots of opportunities to do some really exciting social sciences research, but it also focused on how to be a change agent. So how can you take this research that you're doing, bring it into communities, and enact change? And that really is what it comes down to me, is that this has allowed me a platform to be a scholar practitioner in a way that, if elected to the school board, I can enact change and understand the impact more widespread of that change.
Wow. I as again, being an educator and being a part of that system here in Erie, I just want to tell you that the idea of change is so important as we move forward. We are still in a global pandemic, and our students have had to have gone through in the last year or so a tremendous change in how they received their education. And I know that a person like you coming in and understanding it with a research background, as well as you having to be able to say that when you were here, that your education was the traditional as you moved through and matriculated through, that you're going to be able to take that experience and be able to help these students who are trying to navigate through this new experience of a hybrid education, as well as the opportunity for them to be online or for them to have that opportunity to be in-person instruction. And I think that that's so important because I'm hearing that in your response. Now, I do have a final question for you. We've talked about your background, and we've talked about your philosophy, we've talked about your foundation, we've talked about your beliefs. But now what I want you to tell the audience is simply, why do you think you deserve that seat on the Erie School Board?
I know that our young people here in the city are capable of greatness. I know that our young people in the city are competent, and we have the opportunity as a district to provide additional resources and supports for them to excel in that. And I know that with that support and that direct encouragement, they can be confident as they move and matriculate out into the world. So those are the reasons that I am running for school board, and I hope that I can earn people's vote and be able to act on that.
Dr. Tate, I like that. So you're looking at students being capable, competent, and confident. I'm hearing that.
Absolutely.
And with that, I would like to end this interview by, again, reintroducing you to Dr. Leatra Tate, who is a candidate for one of the open seats with the Erie School Board. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jordan Lander, and I'm here today with Maurice Motroop, who's currently running for Erie City Council. So thank you for being here today with me, Mo.
You're welcome.
The purpose of this is so that the voters can get to know you and know what you're about. So I think it's important to notice how you've been a lifelong citizen of Erie, Pennsylvania. What do you love about Erie? And what are some of your fondest memories of growing up here?
First of all, I want to say my name is Maurice Motroop. I'm a homegrown citizen of Erie, PA. I was educated in Erie from kindergarten through 12th grade in Erie's public schools. I've been an athlete in Erie. I went to church in Erie, grew up in Erie's neighborhoods. I walked Erie streets. Some of my fondest memories of growing up in Erie is just growing up near McClellan Avenue, playing in what was called the Three Hills, the old maids, riding the bikes through there and stuff like that. Being able to walk, to the ice cream store with my friends. Our neighborhood ice cream store happened to be Twin Kiss. And just the closeness of Erie, going to Waldemer, going to the beach, Presque Isle. Those are, and just going to school in Erie has just, those are some of my fondest memories. Okay, and since you've been here for a while, as I've read, why are you running for office? I'm running for office because I have a deep love for Erie. I believe in the greatness of Erie. I believe in the greatness of the people. I've been involved with several projects. For example, creating an event called the annual Easter Basket Giveaway. And an event like that takes people and money. And just to see how people come together to do a project like that, we were able to give away maybe like 600 baskets every year to families, shelters. And just to see the love that Erie shows, togetherness, that's something I love about Erie, is like how people are together. I love the closeness of Erie, and just the people of Erie.
So, speaking about your community organizing, you have other roles and positions that you've filled here in the community. One is an educational leader.
Yes.
Another is the founder and band leader of the Breeze Band, contributing to our arts and music scene. And also, you are a published author. So I know you've done these roles in various capacities for over 20 years. Can you tell the voters, how is this going to benefit the city?
Well, one thing about all those things is it requires vision. So one thing I bring to the table is I'll bring vision to Erie. It also enabled to be able to start up something. You have to have people like mentors. So I believe, and you have to have a progression mentality. So I, like the Breeze Band, for example, I've been able to connect some of the people who came before me, who advised me on how to do that, and also that music has been able to help me connect with youth. So that's one of the things I'd want to do, is be able to connect the strong roots of Erie and also be moving forward in progression. So just the vision, being able to bring people together, because a band is in a school, writing, those are all ideas. They start as ideas, and being able to take an idea into action, and being able to bring groups of talented people together who may be more talented than myself, and being able to get them to work together toward a common goal. That's what I think. That's what I think that'll help me in the city of Erie.
So we're looking at your proven leadership, through these roles, and I noticed there might be some things that we can expect from you as a city councilman. Can you list some of the things you're passionate about and maybe some of your ideas and vision for Erie in the city?
Well, one of the things, some of the things that I'm running on, for example, is that I believe in safety. I believe in community safety. I believe people's homes should be safe. I believe schools should be safe. Work should be safe. To me, that's like one of the first things to any successful thing, is that people have to feel safe. When I grew up in Erie, I felt safe to walk to the ice cream store. I'm not sure if people feel that way anymore. So one of the things that I think are the first things I would want to address is safety. Working in school for over 20 years, I know that to educate students, the first thing that has to happen is that they have to feel safe in the environment. So that's something that I'm passionate about. Also, nurturing our future generations, our youth, because after people like myself and you and others get done with our extent of our leadership, we have to have someone else who's going to take over for us. Okay. Also, very passionate about helping those who can't help themselves. Our homeless population here, families and shelters and things like that, and also giving everybody that equity and opportunity piece, equality, inclusion. Those are some things I'm really passionate about.
Well, thank you. And if you could just inform the voters, maybe a little more in-depth ideas of what you're talking about when what you would do to make Erie a safer place.
First of all, I mean, I believe that we have to find, look at what are our current policies now, and see what's in place. If they're not working, let's work together with the city council, the other members of city council, to do a thorough look at all those policies and see if we need to change anything. Because I know it's a team effort on city council. And then outside of city council, I believe that to help anyone, I believe you have to bring them to the table. And I believe you have to bring people from all over town, because I believe all voices matter. So I'm talking people from East 5th Street, people to West 38th Street, people to Brandis, 38th and Brandis, people who grew up on Bayfront. I think we need to bring them all together and bring all the voices to the table. I'm also not opposed to looking outside of Erie to places that are similar to Erie or even bigger, that have strategies that are working to make the city safer, and bringing some of that back to Erie.
Okay, thank you. And then to help the voters dive deeper into your vision, you did mention all of those voices from all over the city. How would you bring all their voices to the table, and how does that reflect the equity and inclusion piece of your vision?
I believe that as a leader in the community, I think you have to be visible. And if I was running a factory, for example, I would go walk around the factory and actually talk to everybody in the factory. I don't believe in just sitting in my office and making calls to them. I think I have to show the people that I'm visible, and I'm going to walk right into their community, knock on their door, hold a neighborhood meeting right in their community, and show them that their voice is valued. And then once we meet all those people, bring people from the various neighborhoods together, because I just feel like all neighborhoods are valued. From no matter where you grew up, they're all a part of our community. And I think the safety piece is also important, because one of the things we want to do is attract jobs to Erie. And I think for a business to want to invest in Erie, they're going to have to bring their families with them. And like, so we want them to feel safe that they can come here and invest.
Absolutely. You mentioned nurturing our future generations. What do you mean by that?
Those, when I started the Breeze Band, for example, I have people in the community. One of them is Mary Alice Brown, who most people know as the Queen of Jazz in Erie. She kind of mentored me. Another one is Mr. Barry King. I call those people like that my mentors, who I looked up to. When I was doing things right, they would tell me I was right. When I was doing things wrong, they'd say, Mo, try this, try that. Hey, I've seen this happen before, do this. So I would lean on their wisdom. So what I would do as a leader is connect with our younger generation and help bring them up, help listen to their dreams, listen to the things they want, develop opportunities for them, create pathways for their success, so that, you know, when Mo is done being city councilman, or done being the principal, or done being the teacher, or done with the Breeze Band, that, hey, they're ready to step right into those roles. And I think that's our one of our goals is to get the next generation ready for Erie leadership.
Awesome. And then, you know, we do talk about the youth, and as we all know, young progressivism is important to the city, but Erie also has very strong established roots and traditions, and the older residents in our area have a lot of experience and wisdom to offer. Do you think it's important to put these things together?
Yes, I believe that our older residents, they've driven a car. Let's just say they've driven the car 1,000 times, so they know what the roads are like. They know what's behind the building. So yes, our young people have energy, and they have this and they have that, and they have great ideas. But also we have people who've been there before. They have all the wisdom that we need. So they're valued to me. As I said before, I've had mentors that were older than me that helped to bring me along, and they're still helping me. I still call them all the time now because they have the experience that we need.
So going back to the community and about you really being homegrown here in Erie, Pennsylvania, Mo, how important are parks, trails, and public spaces in Erie's placemaking? And as a councilman, what would you specifically do to promote placemaking?
Well, growing up where I grew up out on Glendale Avenue near McClellan, like I said, I kind of grew up in the woods. So that kind of, that's a special place to me. My friends and I thought we were like little explorers growing up. So that opened our minds up to a lot of things. It gave us peace. It gave us just a good place to go, to have fun. Now I go back to those areas. I see they've made McClellan Park. They've made the Three Hills into like a dog park. I see a lot of people enjoying that. I think that's very important because that's a place that people can go and just enjoy themselves, relax. It also brings beauty to the area. So what I would do is I'd find the people who are most passionate about that, because I'm passionate about it, and get their ideas. I always want to bring them to the table, and because I don't have all the ideas, and I want to bring all those. I'm always about bringing the ideas to the table, and if the idea is better than mine, hey, let's use it.
So through your mentorship and being a connector as a leader, describe your management style and describe your leadership style for others so they can get an idea of how you might do this.
I believe that really, first of all, leadership is about service, and my record, speaks of service in Erie. Not only did I benefit from my band, for example, I extended that by creating like youth programs, youth talent shows. Also had created a talent show for some of our older, more respected musicians in town. Easter basket giveaways. We raise money for book bags, things like that. So I just, can you tell me exactly what you said again there?
Sure. So your leadership styles, being a connector, being a mentor, and so you have described a lot of those things for the viewers, and I just wanted to make sure I emphasize that you are a connector and that you are somebody who listens to everybody's voice and incorporates their ideas. So thank you. And then you mentioned before to me that your elementary principal told you the sky's the limit. Do you think this still applies to the people of Erie, Pennsylvania? And if you do, why do you believe it?
Well, first of all, I just believe in the greatness of Erie. I've seen Erie people come together in the time of need. I've seen the drive that Erie people have. One of our greatest resources is the water. I believe that we can turn that into a lot for tourism. We can put jobs. It can create jobs for us. It also is a place of enjoyment for us. I just believe in Erie, and I think that the sky's the limit. I want our older generations to still know that just because you're an older resident, your days aren't over. The sky's the limit still for you. And the youth, I want to put that fire in their spirit that they can succeed despite what everybody says. Me, myself, coming from a single parent home, a lot of obstacles said I couldn't make it. But when I heard my principal say that stuck with me since the 80s. And when you hear that type of thing, and you have people backing you up, leaders who are backing you up in that, I still believe that that's true today. The sky's the limit for Erie.
All right, there you have it, folks, with Maurice Motroop. The sky is the limit for Erie, Pennsylvania, and our city. So as we kind of wrap things up here, what would you like to say to the city as we close?
I'm gonna go back to my music background. One of the songs that we play in my band is called Get Ready, and it's by the Temptations. I believe that Erie has gotten me ready. My Erie roots, my family, the Meredith family. I've been hearing about service and being on city council my whole life. My uncle Larry Meredith was the first ever black city councilman in Erie. My grandmother Odessa Meredith. I've been hearing about those things. That's been talked in my spirit. I want to carry on that legacy of service that my family has. Another song that we play is called Treasure by Bruno Mars. I believe that Erie is a treasure, and I want to be a part of the leadership that helps the whole world see the treasure that we have here. I'm asking for everybody to vote for me on May 18th for City Council. I will serve, I will listen. And you can also, people who want to know more about me can visit me at motroop.com, or also on Facebook, they can visit me at Motroop for Erie City Council. So thank everybody for what they've done so far.
Thank you so much, Erie. Thanks for listening.
My name is Daria Devlin, and I'm a candidate for Erie City School Board. I am so grateful for the opportunity to introduce myself to you today and to tell you a little bit about me and why I'm running for school board. In many ways, I feel like my entire life has centered around our Erie's public schools. I grew up in Erie's historic East Bayfront neighborhood and attended Piper Burley Elementary. I graduated from the former Central High in 1995, where I was active in student government, the swim team, and a number of service organizations. Due in large part to my excellent education at Central, I received a full scholarship to attend Colgate University in upstate New York, where I graduated in 1999 with my bachelor's degree in history and Russian studies. In 2002, I moved back to Erie with my husband, Neil, and we made the choice to buy our first home within the city limits in order to support the tax base and our local public schools. Our three boys, Nick, Nate, and Alex, all attended Jefferson Elementary, Wilson Middle School, and currently Collegiate Academy. During these years, I have seen firsthand all the amazing things that our schools have to offer, as well as the opportunities for growth and improvement that exist. I have been frustrated by the inequities between our schools and those located just a few miles from us in suburban Erie County. I've been troubled by the emotional and psychological damage done to our teachers, our staff, and our students by so many years of budget deficits and closures. And I've been struck by the inescapable truth that despite our differences or disagreements, we can all come together around the common understanding that our students are our future. As a mom, I did everything I could to be active in school PTOs and fundraisers. I also served on the Pennsylvania Parent Council for Title I schools and had a great opportunity to meet other parents from urban districts across the state. After spending my early professional life working in the nonprofit sector, I was actually hired by the school district in 2013 as a grant writer, and later as the coordinator of grants and community relations. In this role, I was part of the core team led by former Superintendent Jay Badams that strategized our community's fight for additional state funding for our schools. I organized the first Fund Our Schools rally at Veterans Stadium in 2015 and the 2016 rally at the state capitol in Harrisburg. Later, after the difficult decision to consolidate our high schools was made in 2017, I led the student effort to rename and rebrand the unified school at Erie High, which was truly one of the greatest honors of my professional career. I can't express how inspiring it was to watch young people come together from every neighborhood of our city, from schools and groups that had historically been rivals, to work together to build something new. I'll never forget it. During this time, I also put my nonprofit skills to work by founding the Partnership for Erie's Public Schools, now the Foundation for EPS, which worked to raise private funds and awareness about the needs of our Erie kids. These unique experiences during some of the district's most difficult years gave me a deep understanding of its operational budget, its ongoing challenges, and most importantly, its endless potential. It also showed me how much is possible when the entire community rallies behind its greatest resource, our students and our families. Currently, I am the executive director of the Erie Center for Arts and Technology, which provides youth arts programming and adult job training. My organization purchased the former Wayne School at 6th and East Avenue from the Erie School District in 2019, and since then, I've led a $12 million renovation of that building. This experience has allowed me to see firsthand the challenges of our aging school facilities and what it takes to bring them up to the standards our children deserve. When asked why I'm running for school board, I've told people that I'm running because I want to serve. I want to serve our kids and families, I want to serve our teachers and administrators, and I want to serve our Erie community. Nothing is more important to the future of our city than the success of our public schools and students. With the influx of additional federal and state relief funding this year, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to right many of the wrongs that have plagued our district for nearly a generation. We must improve our buildings. We must upgrade our technology. We must stabilize our curriculum. We must provide our students with additional mental health resources. We must support our teachers. We must increase access to high-quality enrichment and after-school opportunities. We must ensure that every single one of our graduates leaves us prepared for life beyond high school. And we must do all of these things without increasing the burden on our city taxpayers. Perhaps this year more than ever, you, the citizens of the city of Erie, deserve a school board that is experienced, committed, transparent, and accountable. I hope you've heard today that I am all of these things and that I'm ready to put my skills to work for our kids and our city. In that regard, I am asking for your vote in the primary election on May 18th. You can find me at position number 10 on the Democratic ballot and position number 1 on the Republican ballot. And if you have questions before that date, please feel free to reach out to me on social media or via my website, www.dariaforerie.org. I hope to have the opportunity to speak to many of you over the next few weeks during my canvassing walks through the city. But in case I miss you, please know that I appreciate your consideration and your continued support of our schools and our great city. Thank you.